David said something. He said, I will not offer to the Lord. In 1 Samuel 24:24, I love it, 24 hours a day. He said, I will not offer to the Lord that which I have not paid for. Do you know it costs me to study? It costs me to come, and I don't have a social life. I spend days, hours, nights, weeks studying. Amen. To preach to an ungrateful people. Not by large, but by many and by convenient. And people who don't want commitment, all they do is they want to get a word. And as soon as you get to the altar call, whoa, they're blazing out the door. Or as soon you say, how about raising your hand and help us with something? No, not me. I just came to get a word today. But when you take what you get and you got it through thievery instead of through sacrifice, God don't hear your prayer. Let me hear. You know, it costs a doctor to do all the hours. One of my doctors I've had for years, he just retired. He just resigned. And he's going into another field in Africa. And he said he misses, you know, some of his patients, but he said to me, he said, but, you know, he said it's just become harder and harder. Mm-hmm. How do you hear? Yeah. Praise has to cross your lips. It's not how you move your hips. Yeah. I'm rapping. That's the extent of it. Because it's what is in your heart coming out of your mouth. God exists by what you say. God exists by what you say. Praise and worship are a choice. Just like service is. See, I'm still old-fashioned. I go in a building, I open the door. I don't care if it's a man or a woman, I open the door. I just do it. I get to the counter somewhere and I'll say, thank you. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm 30, 40 years older than them. Because I was raised with a mindset, service, and I came in the kingdom, and it's all about, the greatest in the kingdom is a servant. So it came in to serve. And serving becomes natural. Instead, you watch it. We have a Christian event. We have a gathering. We have a dinner. And all the Christians are running to get up in line. Where'd you get that from? Ask people, could you help? No, I'm busy. Could you do? No, I'm busy. Praise and worship are a choice. Acceptable worship is sacrificial worship. I'll give you a good example. Look at Joshua chapter 6 and just a few more pieces. Chapter 6, verse 2, 5, 15, 16, and 20. Angela, just Joshua 6, go there first, verse 2. Yeah. And the Lord said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho, its king and mighty men of valor, into your hands. How do you know the Lord is ready to give us victory and put our enemy right in our hands? Yeah. He's ready to do that. Verse 3. And you shall march around the enclosure of all the men of war, going around the city once, and this you shall do for 6 days. How do you know God gave them instruction? Yes. Now here's the thing, saints. When you come to church, you hear God give you instructions every Sunday. Yes. Amen. Every Sunday you hear God give you instruction. And no wonder the church is pitiful in America is because we hear on Sunday what we don't intend to do on Monday. And we come back in next Sunday to reduplicate the same pattern. I'm not doing what they tell me to do. I'm just going to come and hear. And I'll cherry pick the things I like. Look. And 7 priests shall bear, they did this 6 times, one loop around. Before the ark, 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day you shall march around the enclosure 7 times. And the priest shall blow the trumpet in Zion, verse 5. And then they make a long blast in the ram's horn, and you shall hear the sound of the trumpet, and the people shall shout with a great shout. How many of you know a shout helps you? Yeah. And the wall of the enclosure shall fall down in its place, and the people shall go up over it, every man straight before him. How do you know, saints, when you come into the presence of God and you bring a sacrifice of praise, sometimes it's a shout. And when you begin to shout, do you know your walls of resistance, the walls of those hindrances are dropping to the ground? And when you leave on Sunday and you go back outside, you go, my God, I don't feel the pressure. I feel like the wall dropped down. I got access to move. I'm going into the city to take what's mine. Good Lord. Go to verse 15. On the 7th day there arose early at the daybreak, marched around the city as usual. Only that day they compassed the city 7 times. Watch this. And the 7th time, when the priest had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, shout. For the Lord has, listen to me, you not only get the walls knocked down, but you get to get your inheritance. Amen. God said, I'll give you the city. I'll give you the city. How do you know that we do things in this church that most of you don't even know about and don't care about probably? I know Wayman's going to be honored by the Ravens, and he's going to be on TV and all this stuff, and because of Adopt a Block. And the sad part is we don't do it anymore. So he'll get honored for what we used to do. And the thing is that our city is aware of things that we do and have done. How many here? Because we used to give a shout. We used to come to the church and offer a sacrifice of shout. I don't feel like it. I got a cold. Well, shout anyway. Maybe the thing will drop off. Maybe that thing will break loose for you. You say, well, I feel tired. I'm going to stay home today. Listen, you ain't never got healed in that house. You're wallowing in the same disease that you've been in bed with for days. Get up and drag that sorry and get out of the house and get into the presence of God and let your brother shout, help you break through. If a woman in Hawaii could get healed, why couldn't you get healed right here? Huh. Look at verse 20. So the people shouted. You know how to shout? Yeah, that was pitiful. That wouldn't even knock over a fence. So the people shouted, and the trumpets were blown. When the people heard the sound of the trumpet, thank God they didn't have to use sound system. And they raised a great shout, and Jericho's wall fell down in its place, so that the Israelites went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. In other words, everybody got inspired. Every man went in and took the city. My God, saints, shout. The walls are coming down. Shout. Shout. The walls coming down. A sacrifice of praise. A sacrifice of praise will take you into his presence. A sacrifice of praise. You see, when you come in here on Sunday morning, if you would get a hold of what I said, I'm not picking on your Saturday night. I'm old and I'm smart and I know what to tell you. If you would give up Saturday night and give it to God, you can imagine the glory that would be in here on Sunday. Oh, you can hear I took an idol just then and slapped it. So, I got to give it Saturday night. I don't have a Saturday night and haven't for 36 years. Hello. And that's why I have God's grace in my life, and that's why God's favored me. Hello. Because, saints, if you don't have something that costs you, you just don't have anything. That's why fasting, some of you never fast. You ought to fast every week. And miss that chicken sandwich? that I so desperately need to grease up my arteries and make sure they're sliding. Acts 16, here's another great illustration, 23 through 26. Prison doors opened when the acceptable offering is offered to God. Their obedience resulted in their deliverance. You know who I'm talking about, Paul and Silas. They did not, listen to me, they did not have to have a worship service. They did not have to have somebody lead them. They went in there and they started praising God in the jail. They started praising God in the jail. And when they did, the gates opened up and God let them go out. I watched you this morning. As soon as I began to work on this sound to try to figure out at least to save your eardrums, some of you begin to go, what do I do? There's no music. John 4, 23, 24. Look at it. Put it on the board. God is looking for a special kind of worshiper. Those, it cost them something. Like the woman who walks into Simon the leper's house, and she's got a little box under her arm called an alabaster box, and she's got frankincense and other kinds of ointments, and she's got them wrapped up, and they're precious, costly, and she comes in, and this perfume cost her. And Jesus said about this woman has done a beautiful thing, because she took it and she broke that thing. When was the last time you got up to go to church and you went over to that checkbook and looked at it and said, okay, I'm going to take this money. I'm going to take this $100 and I'm going to count it in my bill section this week. I'm getting it ready. I'm going to bring it to God. Nobody's going to get it. I ain't going to buy nothing with it. I'm going to come to the house of God with that $100, and I'm going to just bless my God. I'm going to lavish this on him. I'm going to tell him that I'm serious about him, and I'm serious about his kingdom, and I'm going to put it in the offering, and I'm going to shout, and the walls are going to come down. I'm going to break my alabaster box so the fragrance rises up, and the sweet smelling fragrance rises up into the nostril of God. And God looks down and says, that one, I'm going to bless that one. Let me say, see, that woman got that box. I've preached this a long time ago, and I preached it very, very lengthy. And I illustrate her going in, and she moved things around the bed, looked around in the closet, and she got that box. And that box was very costly to the point where it probably was more valuable than anything she owned. And that woman had been around in the streets before. She had been on the wrong side of the track, and she put on her best dress. It was white, and she put it on, and she wrapped her hair. And when she walked along the street, she had to dodge the puddles and the piles of manure, and she walked around them, and she made sure that she didn't step on anything. And she went into the house of Simon, and when she walked in, she just went right by the front door. And she just walked right in, and she's there, and all the disciples are there, and she just falls down, and she gets on the ground, and she begins to worship. She begins to cry. She begins to pour out on this man, on his feet. And she wept till they able to wash the mud off his feet. She took her scarf off. A woman never revealed her hair, but her hair was called her glory. And she took it off and said, I give him my glory. And she wiped his feet with that hair. And when she did, she filled that room with a fragrance. And Jesus said, Simon, I came in, you did nothing. You didn't kiss me, you didn't wash my feet. And here is this woman, she's kissed me and she's washed my feet. This is a beautiful thing that she has done.
Thank you for watching Rock City Church Online. We pray this video sharpens and encourages you to be all that God has called you to be. You can give online at rockcitychurch.com or on the Rock City Church app. Like and share us on social media at RockCCBaltimore and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next episode or live stream.